question when or even if you should forgive University of Oklahoma football star Joe Mixon, who is now really is getting the Ray Rice treatment, and I would say for good reason.
Not exactly.
Well, I know what you mean, but this video was released, of course, on Friday, where you see Joe Mixon. This is from 2014.
By the way, this is going to be brutal if you didn't see it.
He's going to punch the blonde woman
out.
there. There's now.
She's out. It's just it is every bit Ray Rice and maybe more.
Well,
right, and this, like we said, this happened in 2014. There was some punishment. He was suspended from the team for the rest of the 2014 season, and then he got, as far as criminally though, he got a year probation, 100 hours community service.
Charged with misdemeanor assault.
Right, misdemeanor assault.
He didn't plead guilty to that. He actually struck a plea deal where he didn't have to acknowledge guilt, but he acknowledged that he would be found guilty if it actually went to trial.
Right.
Which is such an interesting dance on a
head of a pin. Standing right on a fence.
So I will
But now the question is, now the video has come out. Nobody outside of some local reporters had seen the video back in 2014, and now the public is seeing it. He is the star of the team, and he's supposed to start for them in the Sugar Bowl coming up in a couple of weeks.
So I spoke to somebody from the university on Friday, or right after this came out. And I asked about this specifically. I said, would the university in any way reconsider its punishment in the wake of this becoming public? The reaction I got a couple. Number one, they said, look, we saw this video before we imposed punishment, so it wasn't like Ray Rice where the NFL says they didn't and they just based it on Ray Rice's word. They said, we saw it and felt this was appropriate. And then I asked, well, so are you saying then that this punishment sticks? I couldn't get a straight answer. They started the no comment thing on me, which was interesting on whether they were just trying to see which way the wind was.
They've since commented more. The coach has said that they believe the university's stand is they don't want to like destroy everything for him because of this. They feel like they're an educational institution. They feel like he's been punished. He's apologized. He's acknowledged what he did was wrong, and that they want to help him grow as a person and, go into society as a productive member of society and not, just kind of cast him away.
And I think that's probably what's going to happen. It was just a weird conversation I had because I honestly thought they would say that on Friday. But they did say in their statement that he had apologized and done his time and all of that stuff. But they wouldn't say whether it's possible for them to reopen it. I thought they would just say, no, we're not going to reopen it. I just couldn't get that.
Can I ask you a question on this, Harvey? Okay, because Mixon, during the court hearing, when this was going on, his argument was, she attacked me first.
Right.
He had said, he claims that she and her group had been hurling racial slurs at his group, and he went inside to confront her, and that she stood up, pushed him first, slapped him second, and then after the slap, then he got violent. And his argument was, I don't want to say mutual combat, but I think it was essentially a mutual combat situation.
Well, look, I got to tell you, there is a legal argument to be made for exactly what you just said.
I would assume that's why he was charged with misdemeanor.
Absolutely. He wasn't charged with, believe me, that could have easily been a felony if it was completely unprovoked.
Right.
And then the question is, if it was provoked, did he use a reasonable amount of force? And what they could say is, he had a right to lash back, just not what he did, and that is probably why they called it a misdemeanor.
Let me ask you this question. If that situation is the same, and the person, the blonde lady, is a man, how does that change the dynamic? Is he still charged with a crime?
The optics matter, Evan. People say, no, a person is a person is a person.
Standard there, right?
It's an acceptable double standard.
NCAA football player versus female. Even though I will say there, she hit him one time, and his first reaction was not to strike her back. Her first,
when she shoved him, he didn't strike her.
Nah, he did. He ifed at her to say as if don't do that.
Right.
And she did it again.
Well, the other thing I think is interesting is at the very beginning, before she pushes him the first time, if you can play that video, I believe he seems to be walking away.
And she mean the fact that she waved him over?
Yeah. But I mean, having said all of that.
Can I stop you, Van? I'm sorry. Why did he do that? Why did he come up? I know he's walking away there, but what was he saying? What was lingering during that exchange? It's weird to me. Why did he come over there?
Well, why did she call him over?
I don't know.
Yeah. Also, by the way, a couple of things. Mixon has said he was not drunk during the incident. He said he's never had a drink in his life. The woman apparently had shattered bones in her face, so she was really messed up, and also wants to pursue a civil lawsuit against Mixon, which is interesting because if this video destroys Mixon's draft stock, right, and he doesn't get drafted, he doesn't make money in the NFL, we just broke the story on TMZ Sports. He was evicted from his apartment recently, so he doesn't have money. He doesn't have enough cash to pay his rent at his apartment, and now his NFL
which is outrageous.
And his NFL contract, an NFL contract, could also be in jeopardy. So I mean, this guy. I mean,
is it in jeopardy?
Absolutely.
Ray Rice hasn't gotten a sniff.
You probably can't draft this guy now. And, you know, there's...
Is that right?
I will say this. There's a guy on the Chiefs. His name is Tyreek Hill. And he was involved in a domestic violence case when he was in college and is now playing for the Chiefs and is this big star and everybody's singing his praises.
Video makes a difference. In this case right here, like, listen, I don't ever
what about Adrian Peterson, though? I mean, you had that with a kid, and he's fine.
I'm not saying that he will never be an NFL player. I think that he will be, and I think he might go on to have a great career. But as far as the immediate windfall of millions of dollars that he would have seen next...
Remember, there was a player in the draft that his stock draft tumbled because weed, like marijuana, like sunk his draft stock. So now you have a video of a guy destroying this woman.
And anybody who drafts him knows that there's going to be some public backlash that they're going to have to deal with.
By the way, he had a second behavior issue where, remember, he got a parking ticket or something
last
like that.
month. Yeah, like a couple months ago.
Threw it at a parking attendant. So he's had issues, this guy.
Hey guys, it's Sadidi from Moreno Valley. I think this is just real unfortunate for Mr. Mixon because, she touched him first. She signaled him to come over there. She said, "Come here," or whatever she said, but she gestured for him to come over. He went over. He started to, whatever that was said. He started to walk away, and then she started putting hands on him. I mean, like, these people cannot expect to reach out to somebody and not get touched back.
You know, look, I want to get to flip or flop, but I want to linger on this just for a second. What she just said, to me, makes a difference in terms of an NFL team running for the hills if he says draft
because
me.
It wasn't right.
Because
there was someone else instigated it.
You got an argument at least going here. Now he used excessive.
And by the way, someone got physical with him first also.
Right.
So it should.
That's why I know what you guys are saying. But like I look at,
you're looking at it from how fair the situation is, and what you have to look at now is if you draft Joe Mixon. And by the way, I am in no means saying that I want this kid's career to be over. What he did was unbelievably stupid. But when you draft him now, the conversation you have to have before football even gets invited into it is that video.
Well, they took a chance with Michael Vick. They knew there was going to be protests.
Right, but that was after Michael Vick was a proven commodity in the NFL.
You have to ask yourself, do you truly believe if you're an NFL team and you're going to invest millions of dollars, is this kid past that? Or is he going to be a headache moving forward?
Well, that's a good question. That's actually the question.
The parking thing might hurt him a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, the crab thing didn't hurt Jameis Winston, right?
No,
well, the crab thing is
not the crab.
There's not the parking thing.
Did you see the video, Harvey?
No, the parking thing.
The parking thing is on top of because it shows.
I'm saying the parking thing. I don't mean the
seafood.
I didn't
Did you
mean
really
the
just
video.
compare someone walking out with a bag of crab?
No, I was talking about the parking thing, guys.